Danielle here from Rooted Studio in Platteville, Wisconsin, bringing you a Yin Flow sequence today. Let's start seated. So find a comfortable position, maybe sitting on a block or sitting on the floor. If you've crossed your legs, go ahead and cross them the uncomfortable way, the way you don't normally sit. Walk your hips back a little bit, and then make sure that your spine is nice and upright. Crown of your head is reaching up like there's a string attached to the top of your head. Let your hands rest and relax somewhere comfortable. And maybe close your eyes or keep them soft. Begin to check in with your body. Where do you feel tight? Where do you feel open? How does sitting this way, as opposed to the quote-unquote comfortable way, feel? If there is pain, then sit in a more comfortable position. But if it's just discomfort, because this is not how you usually sit, can you breathe through it? Can you settle into it? Can you soften into it? Are you breathing into your chest and shoulders? If you are, can you switch your breath down into your belly so your belly button moves forwards and backwards, which is a much more relaxing breath, calming to the body. It tells our nervous system that it's okay to slow down. Begin to really connect with your body. What sensation are you feeling right now under your right wrist? How about in your left index finger? Your right big toe? The nape of your neck? Inside your nostrils? Across your forehead? Your left glute? Can you find your heartbeat? We don't often take the time to check in with our bodies, and while it might feel silly to ask, what's going on in your big toe? It's a lesson in, can you connect? Can you feel what's happening in these parts of your body that we might sometimes ignore? It teaches us to go within, to listen. And if you're able to listen to your body, you're going to be more likely to catch injury before it happens. And if you found it really difficult, that's okay. It takes practice and it takes time. Set your intention for class today, and if you have your own, feel free to go with your own. If you don't like setting one, out set one. The one I offer is to stay connected to your body. Instead of letting your mind wander and run wild, I'm going to continually remind you to tune in with what you're feeling internally. Can you stay connected to your body and what it feels? If your eyes are closed, gently open your eyes. We'll find a simple twist here. Your right hand will come behind you. Inhale and sit tall. Exhale, take your left hand to your right knee and twist from your low back, and then your middle back, and your head will twist last. Continue to breathe into your belly space, becoming aware of the way the twist feels in your low back and your belly. Be sure not to go too far right now, as it's still early in the practice, so there's no need to come into a super twist, just a nice, gentle twist. Come back to center. Switch the cross of your legs. Yay, we're finally sitting the normal way. Scoot your hips back. Take your left hand behind you, inhale and sit tall. Exhale, twist, placing your right hand on your left knee. Twist from your low back first, and then your middle back. Your head goes last. What can you feel in this twist? As you breathe, can you feel your belly expand and contract? And come back to center. Bring your hips to neutral, maybe walking them back one more time. We're going to walk forwards this time, taking your hands out in front of you as far as you can get them, still reaching your hips back down to the mat behind you. And when you get to your length with your hips reaching back and your fingertips reaching forwards, you can let your head hang down towards the ground. Can you walk your hands forwards just a little bit more and notice the stretch underneath your armpits or maybe along your sides? Maybe you can feel this in your legs or hips. Walk your hands to the right. Keep your left hip down, it wants to come up. Drop your head. Breathe down your left side. Come back to center and go the opposite way. Keeping right hip down, reaching through your fingertips, breathing down your right side. Come back to center, walk your way back up to seated. Extend your legs long, walk your hips back. I'm going to turn sideways here so you get a side view. You'll inhale here and sit tall, raising your hands up to the ceiling. And exhale, fold, reaching for your feet. And if you can't find your feet, then you can grab underneath your shins or your knees. Now, my back has a lot of round in it, which if you want to go into this pose actively, you don't want that rounding. If you want more of a passive relaxation, let your head hang, let your back round. It'll kind of stretch through your back. But if you want more length in your hamstrings and your legs, see if you can keep a flat back. And if that means you can't reach your feet anymore, go grab a strap. And if you don't have a strap, get creative. Roll up a towel, roll up a shirt, use a bathrobe strap. If you can make sure that you've got this nice flatness in your back and you can reach your toes, then you don't need a prop. Push your knees down to the mat, push your heels forwards, pull your toes back. Lots to think about. And feel free to take that more passive position if you would like. Can you bring your mind to the stretch that you feel? Can you follow it from beginning to end? Where is it the strongest? Go ahead and walk back up your legs. You'll take your legs wide, sliding them apart as far as they can go, walking your hips back. And if you feel like you need to sit on a blanket or a towel to help tilt your pelvis, you can for sure find something to help there. Again, we're pushing heels out. We're pulling toes back. Inhale, sit tall. And exhale, fold forwards until you feel the stretch in your inner groin. For me, I don't have to go very far. I can be tight in my hips sometimes, and today is just one of those days. The longer I sit here, the closer I can get to my feet. But if I start to reach too far, my back does that rounding, and I'm trying to keep my back flat, my shoulders away from my ears, pushing my heels forwards, pulling my toes back. Really push your knees down into the mat or the floor. And then come on up. Keep your legs where they are. Just tuck in your right leg, making a figure four. Take your left hand behind you. Inhale, sit tall. Face your foot and then walk forwards. So here, don't worry about keeping a flat back. You could, but see if you can take your forehead down towards your knee, and if you need to bend your leg a little bit to get there, that's totally fine. Find a stretch that feels good for you and stay there. Begin to walk back up your leg. And we're going to keep your left leg out. Take your right leg up, open it to the side a little bit. You'll take your right elbow inside your knee, and we're just going to find a twist here, reaching up towards the ceiling. Left hand reaches up, right shoulder's pressing into your right leg. Breathe. Bringing your hand back down, extending both legs out to the sides, and then tuck your left leg in. Neutralize your spine first. If you feel like you need to wiggle anything out, do that before we come to the right leg. And when you're ready, you'll take your right hand behind you. Inhale, sit tall, face your foot, and exhale, fold. Pulling toes back, pushing heel forward, pushing knee down, letting your head hang. Remember, you can bend your knee if you want to get your forehead down to your knee. This pose is called forehead to knee pose anyway, Janu Shirshasana. But not everybody can get their forehead to their knee, and that's okay. It's this action of moving towards it, of activating your leg, pulling your toes back, and staying present in the pose. Beginning to walk back up your leg. Keep your leg extended. Draw your left knee up. Your left toes are facing out. Bring your left elbow inside your knee. So you've got your shoulder and your knee touching. Right arm reaches up. Finding a stretch here in this twist. Taking your arm back down, bringing both knees up, And just reach inside your legs, bringing your elbows, bending down towards the mat. Your shoulders are touching your knees. Find a little bit of a rock here. This isn't a real yoga pose, I'm making this up. It just seemed like it would feel good, but if it doesn't feel good for your body, don't do it. And whenever that feels complete, you'll bring the soles of your feet together. Walk your hips back. And so with me sitting on my mat sideways like this, my hips are on the edge of my mat and the feet are on the opposite edge. That's my distance. It's about mat distance apart. You can have your feet closer or further apart. It just depends what gives you the stretch that you're looking for. For me, this works really well right now. Once your hips are back, it's going to start putting you in this natural forward fold. So begin to fold forwards. You can bring a block and put it on your feet and rest your forehead. Maybe you can rest your forehead on your feet. You could also take your arms underneath your legs if you want a little bit of pressure on your arms. It changes the way that the pose feels. And if it doesn't feel right, skip it. Find what works for you. Begin to walk yourself back up to a tall seat. Extend your legs long. Roll down onto your back. Just take a moment here to let your spine neutralize, to let your hips settle in. And then we'll come into a bridge. Bring the soles of your feet to the mat, about hip distance apart. Tuck your shoulders underneath. Take an inhale. Exhale, push up towards the ceiling. You can leave your hands reaching down. You could clasp your hands underneath your body. See if you can flatten your neck along the mat. So keep walking your head away from you and feel the length of your neck. Nice and flat. Squeeze your glutes, turn on your core, suck your belly button down towards your spine. Let's make this really active. Wherever your arms are, really either make fists and squeeze your hands, or if you have them interlaced, squeeze your hands and push down on the mat, lifting you a bit further. Keep breathing, don't hold your breath. And then let all of that go, coming down towards the mat. Taking another breath here. Draw your knees in towards your chest. Hug your knees, rock a little bit side to side. Bring your feet back down. Not quite as close as bridge, a little bit further apart. We're going to come into a supine twist here. So you can leave your arms out to the side. See if you can keep your shoulders down as we twist with your feet planted. Let your knees drop to the left. Try and keep your shoulders down. Maybe look over your right shoulder. You might find you need to shift your hips a little bit. You could take your hips a little bit to the right if that helps. Maybe you don't like your knees being farther apart and you want to draw the knees to stack. Maybe you need a little bit more and you want to straighten your legs out as you look over your right shoulder. Whichever option you are in, stay connected to your body and keep breathing. What does this feel like? If you find yourself holding your breath, or if breathing feels strained, back off a little bit. your legs are extended, draw them in. We'll come up one knee at a time. If you're looking over your right shoulder, make sure you're looking up at the ceiling. Take your right knee up towards the ceiling, and then your left. If you shifted your hips, bring them back underneath you, and prepare to go the opposite direction, dropping your knees to the right. Maybe you need to shift your knee or your hips a little bit to the left. Maybe you can look over your left shoulder. Option to stack your knees if you don't like them a little bit spread apart, or to straighten your legs completely. And remember, you can always put a block or something underneath your knees if you can't reach. You should not be straining in this. This should be really passive, relaxing, and calming. If you've extended your legs, draw them back in. If you're looking over your shoulder, gaze back, straight up. Draw up your left knee. Draw up your right knee. Maybe hugging it in one more time. And then extend yourself long for a good morning stretch, reaching through your fingers, through your toes, maybe wiggling fingers and toes, maybe rolling ankles and wrists, or rocking your head side to side. And checking in and seeing if there's anything else that your body needs before heading into final Shavasana. And if you are ready for Shavasana, preparing yourself for your final rest. And maybe it's an extended rest like this today, if you can feel restful in this position. If not, drawing your arms back down by your sides or resting them on your belly. Traditional is palms up, but feel free to take palms down if that feels better. Let your feet roll out to the sides. I like to take them as wide as my mat. Gently tuck your shoulders underneath. Take a really big inhale and fill up your belly. Pause at the top, maybe breathe in just a little more air. And slowly exhale out your mouth. Repeat that 2 more times to your own pace. Bringing your attention back to your breath. Find a little bit of movement in your fingers and toes. And whenever you're ready, roll onto whichever side is more comfortable for you in fetal position. Tuning into your body, checking in with your intention. How do you feel different now versus when you started? Coming up into a seated position. Ending like we started, finding a long spine. Crown of your head reaching up, resting your hands somewhere comfortable. Can you find your heartbeat? And if the answer is no, don't beat yourself up about it. It takes practice and time. Let's take one last inhale together, taking your arms overhead at the same time. Exhale your hands down to your heart. Thank you so much for being here with me. I hope you have a great rest of your day or evening. And as always, take care, stay healthy. Namaste.